Radio Cairo English International Service presentes Special Program COP27 Egypt 2022.
To the listeners of Radio Cairo, I am Nicole Jungo el-Najjar, an activist from the Canary Island, and I present Mami Estrela's speech on the importance of the United Nations Climate Change Conference, which will take place in the city of Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt from the 6th to the 8th of November 2022. Here is the speech. Hello. I am very grateful to Radio Cairo and its listeners for their kindness and the opportunity to do this interview. My name is Mami Estrela. I am Cape Verdean. I live on the island of São Vicente. I am professor and researcher at the University of Cape Verde. Educational science are my area of training, work and research. I am dedicated to teaching and projects that contribute to sharing between academia and society, with a focus on development issues and environmental protection. I was invited to talk about the challenges of climate change, knowing that next November Egypt will host the UN Summit on Climate Change COP27. The world certainly thanks the people of Egypt, especially the city of peace, Sharm el-Sheikh, for their generosity in welcoming people from all over the world to discuss such a sensitive issue. It is particularly important for us, the people of Africa, that COP27 is in Africa, where humanity began, where we can design a new beginning in search of solutions to live in harmony with nature. This is an opportune moment to reflect on what this means for each of us, to redefine our expectations on the climate issue and on the importance of putting in place real solutions to avoid an environmental collapse, because we have known for long since human activities have caused global warming, and the window of time we have to act before the collapse is very short. Cape Verde is a small archipelago, and the global environmental problems caused by the climate crisis are enormous due to our vulnerabilities. In fact, like other small island states, we are the least contributors to global warming, but we pay a very large and very disproportionate bill because we are more often affected by extreme weather and climate events such as droughts and hurricanes, and also by rising sea levels. In Cape Verde, we only have 10% of cultivable soil, and part of our soils are becoming saline. We are losing biodiversity. We have less and less drinking water. Many people are becoming migrants and climate change refugees, and we are unable to mitigate the effects of these problems. More globally, solidarity is needed. We are one of the most vulnerable nations in the world, so everyone must be counted on. Individual action is relevant, for example, in the fight against plastic pollution that is invading our seas. The interconnectivity of marine ecosystems reveals the impacts of human activities. For example, when we receive on our beaches an abandoned water bottle in China, an abandoned oil container in France, or the wreckage of a shipwreck in Mauritania. The governance challenge is enormous. We need coordinated action at global level. We must all be aware that efforts must be joint, and I hope that COP27 will inspire politicians, scientists and businesses to assume greater responsibility and to develop new and effective approach and initiatives that contribute to stemming the climate catastrophe. Thanks again to the listeners as well as to Mohamed Abd and Amyra El Khalili for the invitation and the whole team of Radio Cairo for the opportunity to participate in this wonderful intercultural dialogue. Alhamdulillah. Mami Estrela.
To the listeners of Radio Cairo, I am Jim Brown, an activist from Scotland, and I present the speech of Daniel Pèrez Creus on the importance of the United Nations Conference on Climate Change, which is to take place in the Egyptian city of peace, Sharm el-Sheikh, from the 6th until the 18th of November 2022. Here is the speech. Many thanks to Radio Cairo International and its listeners for this interview. I am Daniel Pèrez Creus, a Spaniard born in Barcelona, founding president of the NGO Africando and publisher of its African News website. The NGO Africando is located in Senegal, a country on the west coast of Africa with a French colonial past and a rich historical, cultural and environmental heritage. Our NGO began in 2022 in the midst of the HIV pandemic. Our first project was to serve 2 affected communities in Bafoussam, Cameroon, but unfortunately we were unable to carry it out. Instead, we started a collaboration with the community of the Missionary Sisters of the Rosary of Bacham, training and sewing classes for girls from economically disadvantaged families, and later training was extended to hairdressing classes. Taking advantage of Gambia's proximity to the Canary Islands, a travel agency organised a weekly round trip on the same day, which offered European tourists the opportunity to visit an African country. This agency also allowed us to bring medicine and surgical equipment to Kama, Mandanari once a month. Since 2009, we've also been in Senegal, also geographically close to the Canary Islands. This year we have launched an educational project for the education of children, training of young people, expanding the literacy of women, Franco-Arab, Adama and Awa being one of the schools. Here are some statistics on Senegal. In 2017, there was 48% illiteracy. In 2021, it occupied the 155th position out of 196 countries in the Standard of Living Index, considerably below average. These figures show clearly that climate change is not considered a major issue in public opinion. There are environmental campaigns for the use of plastic bags, but in reality, they are only applied by large supermarkets. In stores where ordinary people buy, there is not the same compromise because they cannot bear the cost of the paper bags. Campaigns for cleaning, garbage collecting, tree planting, etc. are also carried out by community and or private initiatives in the places. In fact, that there are not many industries and the number of vehicles on the roads is not very high, greatly favours low pollution emissions. Senegal doesn't currently suffer from these problems, but it must establish a culture of water conservation since we only have 2 seasons. Winter from June to September, which is the rainy season, and summer, the planting period, when the water table and wells are full enough to be able to face the 8-month dry period. I would say there is no ecological sentiments or understanding on the part of public authorities if we fight the end of fossil fuels, which are the major contributors of climate change. There is not the same effort on the parts of governments who, after the summits, forget their promises and continue to promote the use of these fuels. Also, nuclear power stations should be closed. They have to become obsolete. Senegal recently renewed the fishing agreement with the European Union, which means that it allows the exploitation and the depletion of natural resources carried out by European trawlers with large dragnets that sweep the entire bottom of the sea, destroys corals and fish species outside those authorised for human consumption. The result of this policy is the tragedy of illegal and desperate immigration of Africans seeking a better life in Europe, as happened in October 2021 when 3 canoes leaving Mba with unemployed fishermen ended in tragedy like so many of the shipwrecks we are witnessing. Africa is the cradle of humanity. The benchmark of this is the responsibility to hold an event like COP27, to meet the commitments to emission reduction targets for the future of all humanity and every living creature. I sincerely hope that everyone will rise to the occasion, that this is not just another meeting filled with empty promises that will never materialise, as has been the case for the past 30 years since the summit of Rio 92, Brazil. I hope that Radio Cairo and its team, on the occasion of this meeting between the peoples and nations, will reveal to the many participants the importance of Egypt, who taught philosophy and inspired the sciences to the Greeks and Romans. Thank you to the listeners and the staff of Radio Cairo, and especially Mohamed Abd and Amyra El Khalili, for this opportunity to speak. Incha Allah.